In the 15 years that Kresha and I have been married, one of the things that I've noticed about her that she does really, really well is words. The words that she uses. She knows. She uses words that encourages me all the time, and she's really good at the touch, the physical touch.
Really?
Yeah, you seem to know when to touch me,
Wow.
and I wish I was better at that than anything else. But anyway, but I want to say that early on there was a period of time when we were struggling because marrying at such a late point in life that I learned just what I needed when it comes to how I like to be loved, and it was through respect. Kresha had never been married before, and of course I'd been married a few years and had gone through a divorce, and I learned that I needed to be respected a lot, and it took us a little bit of time to get there.
Yeah.
But she's learned, going through some different marriage things together. We've both learned how to love each other better. But one thing I do want to mention also is that quality time is part of the deal. We spend a lot of time together, but the biggie, the one thing that I learned, I would say the hard way, was she likes acts of service. I'm a guy who doesn't mind working. I don't mind using my hands. I don't mind sweating. But I never realized how much I had to do that with my wife. And so I tend to make myself busy just to please my wife.
Well, you got all that energy. You're so full of energy. I wasn't ready for all of that when we first got married, but I'm so glad that you do because you serve well. That's just who you are, though. Your heart is for service, and so when I recognized how much you like to serve, and just kind of merging that with serving our marriage, serving the family, it makes me feel loved.
Okay. Okay.
And you do that really well because it's who you are. And if you didn't, I would not feel loved if you didn't do the things that you do. In fact, I feel so loved. Here's what I like to tell some of the ladies, and that is, and this doesn't have to happen, but this is just between you and I. It works for us. It may not work for others. But I love your service so much that when it comes to holidays, I have, what's the word? I have allowed you or freed you from having to give me gifts because of that day. Instead, Valentine's Day,
yes.
yeah, it's okay. You don't have to give me gifts because I know based on everything that you do all the time, every day, the breakfast ministry, that's a whole nother conversation. Just the things that you do every day, I know without a shadow of a doubt that you love me. I know that you love me. You don't have to tell me, you don't have to buy me gifts, but that's me. And that's what I need, and you figured that out, but it's also part of you. It's like you're bent. And I love that about you.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
Well, it'll never stop.
it'll never stop.
No.
Aw. Thank you.
So I want to give a big shout out to Dr. Gary Chapman for his amazing book, The 5 Love Languages. And today we're going to really dive into these. Now, do me a huge favor, don't check out, because I know a lot of you've read the book before. You're familiar with the concept. I know Amy and I went through this years ago, but hang in there. And the reason? There's a whole lot more to it.
There's so much more to it.
So much more. We're going to dive in and really help you not just identify your love language, but personalize your love language. So once again, please don't check out on this. Now, for those of you that maybe are unfamiliar with it, first and foremost, if you've never read the book, go get a copy of it. I cannot recommend it enough. Phenomenal book, 5 Love Languages, Dr. Gary Chapman. Go get it. But let me give you a high-level overview of it. So the concept is there's 5 love languages that every one of us have at least a love language. And these are anything from acts of service to words of affirmation to physical touch, gift giving, and quality time. That there's 5 various love languages, and we all share love how we want to receive love. So if there's a way that you often want to feel loved, you will often show that to others. And that's kind of the concept. The problem is our spouse, we often have different love languages. So like for Amy and I, There was a time very early on in our marriage where, and I say this, she was not a very good cook, okay?
It's true.
She's an amazing cook today, but early on she wasn't. And this particular time, she made an amazing dinner, did this big, amazing dinner for me. And there was an act of service, which is one of mine. So I felt very loved. So I wanted to return that. So what I did is I told her, go sit on the couch, go relax, go chill. I'm gonna go to the kitchen and I'll clean everything. I'll put everything up, do the dishes, etc. Once again, act of service. This is my way of feeling loved by her. And so I'm trying to reciprocate love. Now, it wasn't intentional. We didn't understand these things at the time. But what I'm really doing is I'm screaming love.
Yeah. And for me, mine is quality time and physical touch. So after I'd made this dinner for Trey and I knew that he appreciated it, really what I desired was for him to come and sit down with me on that couch, be able just to hold my hand and have that time together.
That's right. And so here I am cleaning the dishes, doing everything, and I'm now going into the living room to be with her. But what I'm expecting and looking for is I'm looking for words of affirmation. I'm looking for her to say, thank you so much for cleaning the kitchen and doing the dishes, and you're such an amazing husband. And I'm looking for all those words of affirmation. Instead, she was sitting on the couch feeling unloved because once again, what she wanted was that quality time and physical touch. So here are both of us screaming love at each other, but feeling unloved by each other because we simply were speaking different languages. So that's kind of the concept of the 5 love languages and how we have to begin to understand each other's love language and how to speak it. But there's not just one. It actually, what we found is it tends to look like an upside down hand. Every single person has a love language. Most of us even have a secondary. Majority of people even have a tertiary. Then there tends to be one that we're neutral on. We could take it or leave it. But for a lot of people, there's even one that can often be a negative. It not only doesn't speak love, it's almost like anti-love. And so, for instance, if you had a very critical parent growing up, words of affirmation may not speak love to you. Matter of fact, that may bring up some hurt and pain to you. Or let's say you had a father that was a workaholic and was absent for a good part of your life, but when he did show up, he tried to bring you gifts. Now, in fairness, that could have been his love language of gift giving. He was trying to say that he loved you, but you might have taken that as he's just trying to buy my affection. And so gift giving to you may not once again speak love. It may be the opposite of that. And remember we talked about earlier that 36% of women have had some sort of sexual abuse in their past. And for a whole lot of men, that's the same thing. So physical touch, that may not be your love language. That may actually be a negative. And so it's really, really important to understand this concept that some things we do speak love, but others often don't. So after we begin to identify what are our love languages, now we need to even drill them down and really personalize them. What exactly does it look like? So like for me, for instance, acts of service, but also words of affirmation. That's a big one for me. So what I'm about to say here, I don't mean this arrogantly or pridefully, but I'm a really good husband these days. And I was a horrible husband, admittingly, for the first 15 years, but I've spent a whole lot of time, energy, and effort improving that. So if Amy was to tell me that I'm a good husband, I appreciate that, but that's not actually what I want. The area in our life and our marriage that I've really struggled with is feeling like a good dad. And so those times that she can share those things and affirm me and share those words of affirmation about when I'm doing it right as a father, that means absolutely everything to me. But also with acts of service, there's some things that she may do that I'm like, okay, thank you. But other things can often mean the world. So I meet with a lot of guys early in the morning. So I'm up early just about every morning. And I drink iced coffee. And so in our refrigerator, I have this carafe of iced coffee. But
That's the weirdest thing. I don't understand.
it's
Iced
so
coffee.
good. It's so good. But this is one of those things that when I run low or run out of iced coffee, man, it's like, it just starts the morning in a bad way. But when Amy realizes it's low and she'll make some for me, man, at 5, 6 in the morning, when I open up the refrigerator and there's a full dill of coffee and I know that she did that for me, that small act of service means the world to me. It tells me first thing in the morning that she loves me and it starts my day in an amazing way.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, I didn't even know that that was an act of service that he desired or wanted. He mentioned it at one of the conferences that we did, and I thought, well, gosh, I saw it was empty, and I went ahead and made it for you. But now that I know that that's something that speaks love to Trey, I can't wait. When I see that that craft is empty, I want to go ahead and make that for him because I know that's speaking love to him. But for me, specifically knowing what my quality time looks like. It's not just sitting in front of a television watching TV. One of the things that we love to do is we love to go on walks. And while we're walking, we're talking about our day, what's gone on throughout the week, maybe our dreams and desires that we have. But that's the quality time that I'm looking for. And physical touch. I want Trey just to hold my hand or to place his hand on my leg, just a gentle touch. That's something that really speaks love to me.
And so begin to share with your spouse not just your love languages, but very personalize them. What kind of love languages? What kinds of acts of service? What kinds of words of affirmation? What kind of physical touch? These things are so important because, fellas, if I can speak to you real quick, so many times when our wife says physical touch, we think great, okay? That is not what that always means. It is something so much more than that. Or quite often, if they say words of affirmation, we're quick to go to, you look beautiful. Now, don't misunderstand me. And ladies, I think all of you will agree with this. Every woman wants to know that her man thinks that she's beautiful. But if that's all you believe, if those are the only words of affirmation you hear, you'll actually begin to resent it. And so really share with each other, not just your love languages, but personalize them. What exactly do you want to hear? Do you want to receive? What kinds of gifts? What really matters? Because even when it comes to gift giving, it's not always just gold and diamonds. And of course, all the ladies are telling me to shut up right now, okay? But what are those personalized gifts that actually mean the world to you? But also, don't fall in the trap of only receiving love in your love language. So if Amy comes to me wanting quality time or physical touch, just because that may not be my love language, I have to learn to translate it. I have to learn to receive it. And once again, early on in our marriage, I would often go, hey, I'm going to run to the store and just pick up something. There was an act of service. And she'd go, great, I'll go with you. And I was like, I don't want you to go with me. I just want to go to the store and pick something up. Because if I go to the store, it'll take me 10 minutes. If you come with me, it's going to be an hour.
There's some truth there.
And so I was like, I don't want you to go with me. Because I took that through a lens of neediness, through a lens of clinginess, not understanding and appreciating. It's actually her way of saying, I love you and I just want to be with you. Yeah. So learn to translate. Don't demand that your spouse has to speak your love language, and don't dig your heels in that you're only going to feel loved or receive love if it's in your language. Learn to translate.
Yeah. And also, it's good to be specific, to let your spouse know exactly what you want. And then don't get upset if you've told your spouse, because a lot of times what happens is if I tell you what I want and you do it, you're like, well, I should, you're only doing it because I told you to do it. Appreciate that they heard you, they listened, and they went ahead and spoke the language that you've asked them to speak.
That's right. Don't diminish when you tell your spouse how to love you and they do it. So many times we kind of think, like Amy was saying, you're only doing it because I told you to. No.
Yeah.
Realize you shared with your spouse a way that they could love you. They heard it, they received it, and they chose to act on it. It's actually their way of saying, I love you. And so receive it. Now, what I want you to do in your workbook is I want you to take a moment and I want you to rank your love languages. So on the left side of your sheet, you're going to see all the love languages listed there. I want you to rank them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What's most important to you, all the way down to 5 that may even be a negative. And then on the right side of the sheet, then fill in for your spouse. What are theirs? Rank theirs. And don't rank them for them. Ask your spouse and see what they're putting in. But put these down and see where they line up, and frankly, where they don't line up. Yeah. But begin to understand how you can love each other better. Now, next thing. This is a concept that is every bit as important and significant, but is much less understood. And as a matter of fact, in our life, in our marriage, has caused a whole lot of hurt and a whole lot of issues. And it's something that's called the apology languages. Everything that we just shared about the love languages is also true with apology languages. And so just like with the love languages, there's 5 distinct apology languages. Number 1 is expressing regret. For a lot of people, when they say I'm sorry, it's because they mean I'm sorry, okay? They won't say it unless they mean it. For some people, it's accepting responsibility. And this was me to a T. Somebody says I'm sorry, and my first instinct is, for what? They want to hear you admit that you were wrong. For other people, it's making restitution. They believe that you're really sorry if you're going to try to make it right. What can I do to make it right? What can I do to fix it? When they're really sorry, they want to do something about it. For other people, it's about genuine repentance. In their heart, what they want to hear or what they're going to convey is, I'm never going to do it again. They're not as concerned about the past. They're really more looking for the future. And then lastly, for some people, it's all about requesting forgiveness. They simply want to hear, will you please forgive me? They kind of want that ability to be asked, not to have an apology forced upon them. And so the same vein as the love languages, all of us have apology languages. And so begin to share that. Because once again, if we don't understand this, a lot of hurt can occur. In our life, in our family, Amy would apologize, our boys would apologize, but I was quick to go, for what? And if they didn't lay it out for me exactly as I thought they should, exactly taking responsibility for all the things that I thought, I felt like it was disingenuous. Yeah. And then eventually they begin to pull back because in their mind,
it's never enough.
It's never enough. I can't do it enough. I can't do it the right way, which then reinforced in me they weren't really sorry. And it caused a very dysfunctional kind of mode in our family that, hey, we're really not going to apologize because it's never good enough.
Yeah. For me, I'm just a simple I'm sorry. If you come to me with a genuine, heartfelt I'm sorry, and it can be in any one of the ways that Trey mentioned, I'm good. But what I've recognized and realized over the years is that because I'm good with that doesn't mean that my husband is. So now that I know what his apology language is, for me, it can look like this. If he comes to me, he's, upset about something, I can say, I'm sorry. I realize that the way I came at you was really harsh. And so I go ahead and I accept ownership for that. And I translate my apology language into his.
So once again, share with your spouse. Begin to identify what are your apology languages. So once again, there in your workbook, you're going to see these listed out. And you're going to see a little 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 underneath there. Go through and rank your apology languages. And it's also just like the love languages. Every one of us have an apology language, a secondary, a tertiary. There tends to be one that's neutral, but we also often have one that's actually a negative. And be honest about that. Share that with each other. So when I hear people through genuine repentance that'll say, I'm never going to do that again, my first instinct and reaction was, you can't promise that. You can't promise the future. You're not really sorry. You're just trying to end the conversation. And it would actually push back on me. Now, I've learned to translate. I've learned to understand it and accept it. But we have to begin to share these. We have to identify them in ourselves and share them with our spouse. So rank them, share them with each other, and begin to talk through, how do you want your spouse to apologize? How do you want to be apologized to? And begin to open up these things with each other. Once again, it can change so much in your marriage.
So much. Gosh, that was all so good. And it's so important, absolutely, to know how to be able to love your spouse well, even while apologizing. And so at this conclusion, let's go ahead and close in prayer.
Yeah.
Jesus, we're so thankful. We're so thankful that you've given us the heart and the desire to want to be able to speak our spouse's language, to want to be able to love our spouse well. And so we invite you into this, Lord. We just ask for your guidance and your direction in your most holy and precious name. Amen.
Amen. So as we've been talking about the love languages and the apology languages, what I hope we all see is there's so much more to it.
Yeah.
It's not just the high level that we have a love language and we show it and that's how we want to receive it. There's so much more complexity and depth to it. But I'll tell you, before this, how many of you, and in this group, had ever heard of the apology languages?
Nope.
It's amazing how this is so much of a less known concept, And yet when there's conflict, especially if there's been any kind of deep betrayal, disappointment, etc., I would argue is as significant and frankly sometimes even more so.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
And so understanding that those ways that we either simply express regret, we're looking for someone to take responsibility, we're looking for that genuine repentance, what are you going to do to fix it, or just simply asking, will you forgive me? Looking for those different apology languages is really, really important. So what about with you guys, Gillespie's? What have the apology languages, because you've had some things to apologize for.
Yeah. Well, I always grew up when people would say, I'm sorry, I would always just say, it's okay, it's okay. And even if it wasn't really okay. And so that always just really bothered me. So as I became an adult, I don't really expect other people to ask for forgiveness, but I always like to ask for forgiveness when I'm apologizing. And so, I'll say, I'm really sorry. Can you please forgive me? And that way it gives them an opportunity. There's not an expectation that they're going to go, it's okay. It's like if there's something really still up that we need to talk about or work through, I really want that opportunity. Or if John will say that to me, I'm sorry. And I'll say, okay, I forgive you. But, I'm still upset about this. I'm going to need a little time. We're okay, but I'm going to need a little bit of time. And so to me, I like the forgiveness part, asking for forgiveness.
Yeah.
Yeah, with me, it's taking responsibility is really important. How that's expressed isn't so important to me, but I want someone, if someone does something wrong, if Tiffany does something wrong, or someone else, that they accept responsibility for what they've done. To me, that's just a sign of ownership, and ownership is really important to me. And I think you can move on from there if you have ownership. So that's how I like it best. And I love that Tiffany always asks for forgiveness. It's a great reminder, because second to loving one another, forgiving one another is probably the most important thing you can do in your marriage. And I appreciate that she asks that, and she offers forgiveness even if I don't ask for it when I do something wrong. So I love that.
And the hurt that can sometimes come from it simply because we may be speaking the different apology language, but if we feel like our spouse doesn't accept it, it's kind of rejected, that can cause a lot of hurt and a lot of pain simply from speaking the wrong apology language. And we kind of had that for years.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And hurt on my side because I thought I was apologizing, but not realizing I wasn't apologizing in the language that you were ready to receive. And so it caused a lot of mistrust and hurt on my part to go, well, why even apologize?
Yeah.
It's never going to matter.
And that's why, once again, translating it, knowing what our spouse's language and knowing how to translate it is so important, and to choose to accept it, even if they're speaking it in their language. About you guys?
I I need to hear someone accept responsibility. So I'm sorry for, but this is also where my reactor comes out in our disagreements. Hannah is really good about saying I'm sorry, and even will articulate for what. But there was something deeper I was looking for, and so I just kept going at it. And I wanted her to articulate maybe some of the ramifications of what she has done, how it made me feel, or the ripple effects. And when she was not articulating those things to my satisfaction or made me feel heard and understood, I just kept going and going. And she would get to this place where she's like, I have already said sorry a dozen times. I don't know what else you want from me. And even that question, I noticed in myself, I'm like, I don't know what I'm looking for right now.
Even when you don't recognize yourself, like what apology is even going to make a difference for me?
Yeah, I think Heath hit the nail on the head for me because that's exactly kind of how I am. I want a 4, and then I need you to explain like what you're sorry for. But I'm kind of, my reactor comes out and being like, well, I'm going to keep bringing it up and bring it up. And you're like, well, I've already said I'm sorry 1,000 times.
Yeah. And for me, I think, not necessarily from you, but like, I think sorry is tossed around and it's almost like a hollow term a lot of times. And so to me, it needs more weight. And if it's just a quick, I'm sorry, it's just it's hollow. And so I feel like general, repentance, and I will try not to do this again, even though, we're all human and it could very likely happen again. But general repentance is, I'm really sorry I hurt you in this way, and I will try my best to not hurt you in that way again.
And that's where it's so important to realize that it really is kind of that upside down hand that
hmm
we have those apology languages that we want, but sometimes there's those that we do see as a negative. We see actually as disingenuine. For me, I'm sorry is a neutral, kind of to your point.
Yeah.
But actually, when someone says, I'll never do it again, like that's probably your main one. And to me, I'm like, you can't promise the future.
Yeah.
And so I see that as you don't really mean it. You're just trying to shut down the conversation.
Yeah.
And once again, that's where, if that's your top one
Yeah.
and that's my negative, boy, that can bring a lot of hurt
A lot of tension.
and a lot of distrust.
Yeah.
Because I'm legitimately sorry and I'm apologizing, but if my spouse is not accepting it, really where we fall into is, well, then why even try? And there's a lack of trust that you're going to hear my heart, a lack of trust that we can move past it, even to take responsibility. Because like you said, we're the same on that. As long as I feel like you're taking responsibility, I'm like, well, now we can move forward. But if we feel like that doesn't happen, then we're never going to move forward.
Yeah.
It goes on my terms.
That's
I'll accept your
exactly.
apology when it's on my terms.
And sometimes we're not really looking for an apology. We're looking for penance. We want them to like pay for it. It's borderline revenge. Quite often when that reactor is coming out in that way,
Yeah.
it's dangerous. So I think all of us, I mean, apology languages are really, really important. They can bring a lot of pain, but they can also help bring a lot of healing
Yeah.
very quickly, because we should forgive whether our spouse asks for it or not. But if they do ask, it does make it so much easier. We forgive for our own heart, but if someone asks for it, and especially in a way if it's our language or we know that they're saying it in theirs and we can translate it, it is always exponentially easier to forgive, heal, and move on. But why do we do that? So that we can love.
Yeah.
That's really what it is, forgiveness and love, these two things. So let's transition to love languages. And once again, this is something I think all of us know about, have known about, probably read the book, an amazing book, Dr. Gary Chapman, but there's a whole lot more complexity. And once again, these negative. And so Gillespie's, what is this with you guys? Because this is an area where we can feel loved, but it's also an area, frankly, we feel unloved.
Finally, an easy one. The most natural way for me to express love is acts of service. So Tiffany should just know that. And when I do something for her, she should, feel showered with love, whether it's hanging a shelf or washing a dish or putting gas in her car. She should just feel super loved and appreciated from that. Maybe that's actually how I felt for way more years than I would like to admit. And don't get me wrong, she appreciates when I do things for her because she recognizes that's the most natural way for me to give love. So she feels a sense of love from me fixing the cabinet hinges, right? That's love that she's going to feel. But it's up to me to realize how she feels love best. And for me to provide love to her in that way, to love her through her love language, not because it's what's easy for me. So here's what a typical Saturday used to look like for us. I would bust my tail all day, 12 hours, sometimes more, trying to get all the stuff done. Maybe to earn love, and Nick kind of mentioned that earlier, but so that she would feel loved. And she would see at the end of the day, I was willing to be exhausted to show her how much I loved her. Not realizing that what she really would have liked was for me to get some stuff done, knock off at about noon, and spend Saturday with her, not just in the same space, but Saturday with her. Focused on quality time, her primary love language. Going for a walk, going to the park, hanging out on the patio, going to dinner with my phone completely out of sight, focusing on her and focusing on us and our relationship and building our marriage. And if I would do those things, then she would feel loved, and both things are done. So what have I learned? I've learned that, hey, okay, things have to get done, right? I can't just spend all day looking at her as much as I would really like to. I mean, I would love to do that, but I have to do those things. And there's things that she would like to have done, but we have to set limits. And so we've gotten pretty good at that. We'll say, work till then. And then we also have to communicate and prioritize. Here's the things that are on the list. She talked about the list earlier. But here's the things. We'll negotiate a list, or I'll make a list and I ask her, hey, give me some priorities on here. But we'll negotiate that so that when it's time to quit, I can walk away feeling like I've done the things that were most important. And we can both be free to just really enjoy spending time together. So we can have the quality time that she feels loved, and build our relationship because we're speaking each other's love language.
It's good.
Very true. So for me, John's primary love language is, I can't even think what it is. Words of affirmation. See, it's not even on my radar because I love them. So my natural, I appreciate him, but I wasn't really good at expressing it verbally. And so I had to really learn to take my thoughts and translate them into words to let him know what was really going on in my heart. And I wasn't good at that at first because I didn't really understand it. But also knowing what his agreements and wounds are, I have to be really careful that I don't try to become his God with those words and try to heal all things with words of affirmation. And so knowing that, that's kind of the beauty of this, is that now I can combine my words of affirmation with words of God's truth, and point him back to God on the times when I feel like that's where it needs to happen.
So one of the things that we talked about was there was that expressed and that wanted. And John, I think about you, knowing you and being good friends, because words of affirmation is probably your top, but I would guess acts of service is very, very close. But you're really good at giving acts of service. You really struggle receiving them.
I don't like people doing things for me.
And that was really a growing thing for us as well, because I would feel so defeated. I would try to do things. He'd be like, no. And he wouldn't let me do things when I would try. And, I was like, you're kind of stealing my joy here from serving you as well. And so that took us a while to kind of unpack all that, but you're exactly right.
Yeah, because it's really acts of service and physical touch are my top two. Or I'm sorry, acts of service isn't on the list. Words of affirmation and physical touch are my top two. I'm really not good at letting Tiffany do things for me. Well, we talked about how it's kind of almost fun to compete to serve each other. So I've really had to learn this one. And I've gotten to the point that I really do enjoy it. I do really pretty good at receiving love through acts of service now. Whereas before I was really, if I thought all the things on my list were things I was doing for her and I didn't do something, then I would go back to agreement where I didn't get something done and I was letting her down. So there's been just tremendous growth there. But we had to recognize it and see where our love languages were, and that has really helped. But if you get outside the love languages or the apology languages and you haven't addressed all those agreements,
That's right.
none of it works.
That's right.
Well, and our most recent one is I like John to sleep in on Saturdays because he gets up so early during the week. He doesn't get a lot of sleep. So I'm like, okay, I'm not a sleep in girl. I can't do it. So I'm going to get up, but you need to stay in bed till 9 or 10. And he really struggled with that. He was like, I can't do that. I feel too guilty. And it's like, why? And so after this back and forth for several weeks, he finally said, okay, I'm going to accept that as a gift of what way that you're trying to serve me and let me sleep. And now he'll be like, okay, I don't want to, and I'm probably not going to go to sleep. 2 seconds later, he's out. But now he's grown to appreciate that.
Yeah.
So
I felt so guilty about it.
yeah.
I just like, the day's half over. It's Saturday. I got a lot of stuff to do. And I struggled with it. And I bet it's in the last month, really,
Yeah.
that I've come to see that as a real gift and a blessing, that I have a wife who, even though knows even though she knows I have a big list of things to do, instead values giving me this gift of sleep.
Mhm.
That it's really the only chance during the week I'm going to get a little extra sleep. So I've come to actually look forward to it. I don't expect it. I mean, I really don't. Every Saturday, it's like, can we get up at 7? I'm going to do this. And she's like, I want you to sleep today. Wait a minute, I get to sleep this morning.
Except for today.
Yeah, but it's such a blessing. But it took me a long time to see it as that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so good. About you guys.
Well, I think for me, I can talk about the negative love language. So Heath is really good at showing his love by giving gifts. But every time that I got a gift, it felt like he was just trying to make up for what he wasn't doing before. He wasn't
Yeah.
doing the quality time or the words of affirmation or the physical touch. And so I'm just going to bring this gift. And so I started to kind of get bitter and resentful that he was just bringing this gift, thinking that would make everything okay. And then another piece of it is that I thought I was acts of service going into marriage because I had all these expectations, but these expectations were not actually how I was feeling loved. And so for the longest time, he was doing all these acts of service things. And it just was like, well, I was expecting that. It wasn't filling my cup. And so kind of really diagnosing what my actual love language is, physical touch and words of affirmation. And then once he's starting to do that, it really fills me up.
Yeah. I also had a misunderstanding of what my love language was, or my primary. I thought it was physical touch because of all the hypersexualization stuff. And I think physical touch. And at that time, that's what I thought. So that obviously wasn't filling my cup, and I wasn't experiencing love in that. She has very much pointed out that I am not physical touch. It takes effort for me to hold her hand or to give her touch that's not sexual.
Yeah.
And so I thought that that was my love language. And actually, quality time is my biggest, and words of affirmation is my second. But because of all the shame and the self-hate, I wasn't receiving words of affirmation from anybody, even though that's what I really longed for.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, there does tend, once again, there is often a gender bias in this as well. And go back to Ephesians 5. Husbands, love your brides as Christ loves the church. Wives, respect your husbands. Ladies, how many of you, one of your top 3 is quality time? Okay, all 4 of you. Fellas, how many of us, words of affirmation is in our top 3? Love equals time. We give time to the things that we love.
Yeah.
Whether it's a career, whether it's a sport, whether it's a hobby, whether it's our spouse. We give time to things that we love. And guys, we have a deep need to be respected and those words of affirmation. And so I get wives that'll quite often go, I don't know his love language. I'm like, well, go with words of affirmation. You've probably got a pretty good odds. I'll take those to Vegas. So, but understanding that once again, we're not that different.
Yeah.
We're really not.
Yeah.
Coopers, how about you guys?
Well, I think it's interesting that you guys both said, well, I thought it was this and then it was this. The first marriage conference that we went to, both of us had gifts as the bottom one of our, and after talking about it, I realized that was probably my top one. And it's not, and I think people misconstrue it as like, oh, she wants bracelets and clothes, but it's not that. It is like, he got me coffee. He thought about me during that time, and so I feel like it doesn't have to be a big extravagant gift. It's just the thought that goes into it. And I would say that recognizing that that is my love language, it's probably his least. He is not very good at it. It's always been kind of a last minute or, hey, it's your birthday. I give him a list of things that I like expect from him. Nothing. And so then it just constantly falls into this cycle, and then I get frustrated or I get not heard or not seen. And but it does. I feel like it does evolve. So my top 2 would probably be receiving gifts and acts of service. And I joke that Nick is all 5 because I was like, I feel like you're just all of them.
I'm well-rounded and
He is well-rounded.
And the reality, they're all love.
Yeah.
They are
Yeah.
all forms of love.
Yeah.
So for me, I kind of fall into the typical, words of affirmation, probably touch and quality time are up there. Acts of service and gifts are at the bottom. And I think, if it's something you're not natural at, you have to be really intentional about it. Like gifts are at my bottom. And so I don't like if a birthday comes and goes and I get a card or I don't get a gift, I don't really feel unloved by that because it's not important to me, and so if it is not on your top list, you have to be very intentional about it and how you're going to show them love. One of the things you guys said that I really like is even though you were doing acts of service for her and that might not have been her at the top of her list, like her realizing, hey, he might be doing this wrong way, but he is trying to show me love. Like I think that's very important too. Like because we're not
Translating.
perfect. Yeah. And like even recognizing like, yes, this might not be at the top of my list, but I see that they're trying. I see their heart. I see that they're trying to show me love. Might not be doing it the right way, but they're attempting to. And then on the opposite side of that, it is figuring out your partner's actual love language and doing that and being intentional because it's not going to come natural. It does not come natural to me for the gifts or the acts of service. It comes natural to me to say, Emily, you look beautiful today. I'm so glad you did this. Words of affirmation. I can spew those things out all day long because they're things I want to hear. And it's easy for me to show love in that way.
And it's really hard for us because our love languages are almost completely opposite. Like I did not grow up in a household where we said, I love you, or we hugged, or I saw that in my parents, but we didn't do that. So words of affirmation are kind of foreign to me and I really have to work at it. And I think one time, Trey, you said in one of our counseling sessions, like, well, then put a reminder in your phone. And it's funny because it's like, sometimes you need those. And it seems like it takes the genuine out of it, but it really is like, okay, send Nick a text to say how great he's doing, and it really does. He comes home and he says, that really meant a lot to me.
Yeah.
Can I address that real quick? Because what you just said right there is sometimes because it may not be our spouse's natural and we often view it as disingenuine. But the reality is if he's sharing his love language through words of affirmation, that is easy. But if he's having to fight and dig deep and choose and goes out of his natural way to give a gift, which one's actually more significant?
Right.
Wow.
And so often we look at that and we go, well, no, it's not real. It's disingenuine. Instead of saying, no, that's huge. That's actually a much deeper, more sacrificial form of love. And quite often we diminish it and we'll kind of look at it as disingenuine instead of celebrating it and going, oh my gosh, that is sacrificial love.
It's something he had to choose.
It's almost like there's a theme here.
Yes.
So because really all of this stuff is connected.
Yeah. It is. And I have a fun little story to tell that kind of hits on quality time. And so I had this lake trip planned for us. It was just an afternoon, but I had the kids were taken care of. It was just going to be me and Emily. And I had built up this storyline in my head and what I wanted the afternoon to look like. And I did not communicate any of that with Emily. So we're both going into this afternoon with
Kid-free.
Yeah, probably our own expectations of what it's going to look like and all the things. So, get the boat ready, drive to a beautiful, like secluded cove. And I'm thinking, man, we're just going to talk, hang out,
Make out.
all the things, and just like watch the sunset, just touch and hold and all the things,
Praise God.
Yes. And so park the boat. And I'm kind of like getting stuff ready. And I see Emily, and she just pulls out a book and goes to the front or the back of the boat, by herself and starts reading. And I just kind of pause and I'm like, well, this is already not going the way that I expected it to go. Like, I wanted quality time, I wanted touch, I wanted all these things, and it is derailed pretty quickly. And so it snowballed, like it did. I got angry,
Oh,
and
but I didn't know about it.
yeah, she did.
All I heard was him like getting the fishing poles out and trying, and I was like, "What is going on back there?"
Yeah, so it was not communicated, and I think it definitely snowballed into that wasn't met. Did I set an expectation on it? Like pain cycle all the way through agreements. And, like he said, like that happened in 30 seconds. Like all the things that we've talked about in this video series, it can happen like that, or it can happen over years and years and years. And to see that one story where all this ties together, that it literally happened that quickly. And if now I probably would have realized it, and I could have stopped going down that rabbit hole, but back then I didn't not have
We didn't
the
have the tools.
equipment, the tools to do that.
Yeah.
And so it spiraled.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
not fun at the end of the day.
It's all connected.
Yeah.
It's all connected. From our agreements to our processor reactor to the expectations to the agreements, the unforgiveness, all of it.
Mhm.
It's all connected and interwoven.
Yeah.
And the good news is Jesus can heal all of it.
All of it.
Yep.
There is a way.
Yeah.
There is a way. So share with your spouse, what are your love languages? How do you want to be loved? What are your apology languages? How do you want to be apologized to? But then take the time to really learn your spouses. Learn to translate, learn to speak, and learn to translate. Become bilingual, become multilingual in love. That's really the goal. Everything through this series is pointing to one singular thing: learning how to love and how to be loved, because God is love.
That's right.
Choose love. So congratulations, you've completed all of it. You made it, and we are so honored that you went through this journey, allowed us to walk this with you. But it doesn't have to end here. There's so much more still available.
So much more.
And so for some of you, you're gonna need some different things. Maybe it's pastoral counseling. Find a good Christian counselor in your area, or reach out to us. We would love to help you in any way that we can. Also, check out the Choosing Love podcast. We have podcasts with a lot of the people that, the couples that have been in this video series, Amy and I, and even others. So we'd love to continue to walk this road with you. Go to our website, choosinglove.info. We have all kinds of content, devotionals, marriage materials, a lot of the things that we walked through this marriage series. We're going to have additional resources on our website there. And then also follow us on social media. We're on all the major platforms, and we'd love to engage with you there. Now remember too, at the very beginning, we said that our goal for everyone was to get you spiritually, emotionally, and relationally healthy in that order. One of the best things that you can ever do for your spouse, your marriage, your kids, your family is work on you. Allow God to do a healing work in you. And what I can tell you, there's some camps and retreats that do that like nothing else I've ever found. And so check out wildatheart.org. John Eldridge, his Wild at Heart boot camps are life-changing. Check out Band of Brothers. They do camps around the country as well. And if you're anywhere around the central part of America, the ministry that we helped start and a part of, True North Ministries, truenorth.live. An amazing ministry and something that we do called Base Camp. Absolutely life-changing. We're here today doing what we're doing because of the work that God was able to do in me at Base Camp. And so no matter where you're at, it's worth the time, it's worth the money, it's worth the travel. I promise you, fellas, you will go back home a better man, a better husband, and a better father.
Ladies, you want your husbands to go to one of these camps or one of these retreats that they have out there. I absolutely can tell you definitely want them to go. But ladies, there's also things for you. You can get on wildatheart.org as well. Check out Stacey Eldridge's captivating events. She has partners around the whole United States area, so you can find something in your location that's going to host one of her retreats. Definitely get on there and check it out.
So, our mission here at Choosing Love is to help couples create Christ-centered marriages that last a lifetime. God bless you, and we'll see you soon.